IIT, and we're gonna end up with a Q&A in case you guys have any questions for me. So first of all, introduction. As I said, my name is Theo Guidroz. I am originally from a country called Mauritius. Everyone always is like, where's Mauritius? So if you can check on the map, if you can squint real hard, you can see the arrow is pointing to Mauritius right there. This was probably the hardest slide to make because it was never pointing it to Mauritius. But anyways, this is where I'm from. I grew up there for 18 years. And then I moved to Chicago to start college in 2018 at IIT. So since I moved to the US in 2018, I spent 4 years at IIT. Graduated in May 2022, as I said, with my bachelor's in computer engineering, my master's in AI, so in the IIT and CS department. And then I spent a couple of months of vacations. And in July, I moved to the Bay Area, where I started working at Google in the Mountain View office. So this is where the headquarters is. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about my 4 years at IIT. So what I did during my 4 years at IIT, what helped me grow, build a resume, enjoy my college experience. So this is kind of a very brief timeline of things I did since every year by year. So as I said, I started in 2018. I had my first semester where I was just getting adjusted to college life, not being at home anymore, taking classes, getting to know a little bit more about student orgs. In 2019 is when I started really with my first on-campus involvement. I joined a couple of different student orgs where I spent the rest of my IIT years on the board. I got my first on-campus job as well in 2019. And then as from 2020, I started getting involved in more technical stuff like research. So I spent the summer of 2020 doing research. I also started TAing at IIT. I'm assuming a couple of you have had me as a TA before. If so, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's something I enjoyed doing, was TAing. In 2021, I started my co-terminal degree, where I started grad classes in the spring semester. I also started doing research outside of IIT, where I was put with a team in DPI. DPI is pretty popular at IIT. I'm assuming you saw emails about them. I also kept TAing in 2021 for IIT and SMASH, which was a program which helps promoting STEM within minorities, community. So that was really fun. Heavy link with IIT as well. I believe that summer program is now at IIT. Highly recommend if you guys are looking for a summer gig. And then in 2022, while I kept TAing because that's apparently what I do at IIT now, I graduated from school, so which was fun. Did a bit more research with a couple of PhD students, and also finished all my classes. So this is very brief what I did year by year, which kind of helped me get to where I am today. Now I'm going to talk about different things I did and how it helped me grow different specific skills. So I'm going to start with soft skills growth, which is what I did, which I believed at least helped me grow particular skills. So first was on-campus jobs. As someone coming to the US, I feel like most people I met had part-time jobs in high school, which is not a thing back home. So I was really, really excited to start getting my first actual job and getting paid to do stuff, even though we were just sitting at a desk. But it was still a lot of fun. Definitely learned a lot for time management, because now I had really, really tight timing to get to, I knew I had a schedule, I had to fit in my schedule. I couldn't be late to those jobs because literally your only job is to be there on time. So definitely help with time management, communication a lot as well, because you always have to be in communication with your coworkers and then people you have to greet and whatnot. So it definitely helped a lot. And also budget management, because it was kind of the first time in my life I was making money and seeing how to spend that money. Other places where I developed a decent amount of soft skills was student orgs. I was the station manager of WIIT for a while, and as well as the president of HKN. I really enjoyed both of those roles. It definitely helped build a lot of leadership skills and organization. As most of you on the ACM board know, it's not super easy to build those kind of events like you do today. It takes it takes a decent amount of organization, and it's definitely through joining those kind of student orgs that you get to build those skills. And also commitment, which I think is a big one, because it's pretty much like you have a job but you don't get paid when you join student orgs. Actually, probably more work than some of the jobs you can have. So it really shows that you're in it for the mission and not in it for the money. So these are kind of the skills that I think is helpful when you join student orgs. last but not least, being a college student, I think it's something that we definitely you don't realize how fun it is. I guess it does not seem fun, but you don't realize how fun it is until you graduate. It's kind of funny. Just I mean, now that I'm out of it, it's funny not being on campus all the time and having the same struggle as everyone in other classes. I do kind of miss it sometimes. But yeah, definitely as a college student, don't forget to work with others on projects you like, share your passion. That's what I said. I've definitely had my fair share of nights spending a lot of time working on projects with people, watching soccer games with people, share passions that I like. Be part of a community, make a friend, socialize, because these are things that you kind of do in high school, you do throughout your entire life, but you got to do it again in college because you meet new people. And then you graduate from college and you have to do it again in the workplace. You definitely don't want to be alone in your corner. You want to make as many connections as you can, know as many people as you can, just because it makes your life just easier and better on the long run. And also having fun in college. Having like college is 4 years. Definitely, you definitely want to be on a grind, that's for sure, and do well as you want to. But it's also important to realize it's only 4 years of your life that you have to spend well and have fun, go to parties, go do random stuff in downtown of Chicago, because you won't have much of a time again to do those kind of crazy things. Now I'm going to talk about technical skill growth. So what helped me build technical skills. So first of all is TAing. As you can see in my timeline slide, there's a lot of TA. There's a couple of reasons why I TA'd for a couple of semesters, different classes. One is because I like teaching. I like sharing my knowledge with others. I have very limited knowledge, but that limited knowledge I like transferring it to others. For me, it's the best way to build a strong technical foundation. It's the best way of learning is teaching. I would say put it that way, because you can't teach someone unless you understand the context fully. It helps you communicate your thoughts and knowledge. So I don't know how many in the room have gone through technical interviews, but something that's super important when you go through interviews where they ask you to code stuff is to be able to communicate your thoughts to your interviewer. So definitely being a TA helps you build those kind of skills, because you constantly have to talk to your students and tell them what you're doing, or understand what they're doing and tell them what they're doing wrong, etc. Also helps you understand professors a little bit better. I definitely felt more like you realize that those professors are, regular human beings who spend way too much time in school. No, I'm joking. But most professors have been there for are just human beings as well. They make mistakes. They have a lot on their plate. So being a TA and seeing seeing what happens in the background kind of makes you feel for them and understand why they make certain decisions, even though they might sound super tough sometimes. But they as I just said, human as well, trying their best. Another thing that helped me a lot to build my technical skills at IIT was research. I got involved in a couple of research throughout the EC department and the CS department, and did some independent things on my own. Research is super useful for different cases. Already helps you find your field of interest fields, because you can have multiple. Because it's not uncommon, but you think that you really like a field, and then you start, taking classes in that field or doing research in that field, and then realize that's not for me. So that's a really good way to and research kind of gives you that answer if you really enjoy doing it or not. Research is also a great way to help you make a decision between staying in academia and going for grad classes and potentially a PhD and being a professor, versus being in the industry and just graduating and finding a job. Because I hesitated for a while too. Because I really liked just learning and research, but it was a good way for me to see which one I think suited me better. Helps you keep up with SOTA, which is state of the art. So if you are really passionate about one field and always want to keep up with the latest research being done in that field, just being involved in the field and trying to experiment your own stuff and reading papers is really the way to go. And also, one thing that I really enjoyed about research and working with specific professors is when you work with a professor under them in research, you're working on the field they're interested and passionate about. So they teach you they're way more likely to, they're more willing to teach those kind of subjects than subjects that they are forced to taught by the school. So definitely taking those professors tend to teach better because they actually like the subject they're teaching. Another thing that helped me a lot was just personal projects or projects, which could be group projects. Because there's just so much you can learn from the book. And like, I mean, okay, you took CS 331, you know how to build a stack, but how do you apply it? What do you do with it? It's really through projects that you kind of develop those skills of learning how to apply the knowledge you learn from books. It's also a great way to learn new tools. There's just so much you can learn from books and from exams at school. So if you want to try out a new tool, it's probably, especially in CS, the best way is probably find a project where you can use those tools for. It's a great way to learn how to collaborate in a group and delegate tasks and try to kind of track deadlines. And because this is something we're all terrible at, we all college students, and we make a timeline and then wait for the last minute to do everything. At least I was like that, but it kind of helps you understand better how to collaborate with others. And also the nice thing about projects is, especially when it's personal projects, you work on what you like doing, and it's not just given to you by the company you're doing an internship at or the class you're taking. So these are kind of the things that I thought were super helpful to build technical growth. A lot of you might wonder why I did not have internship on it, but I'll come over it in a bit. Well, actually, it comes right now. So now I'm going to go about my job search, and you guys will probably see why I did not talk much about internship so far. So job search can be stressful, a huge time commitment, hard, but also really rewarding when you get something out of it. I'm sure a couple of us have went through the process of applying to jobs, going through interviews. It's not easy. It can be super stressful. It's a lot of time commitment between applying and going to those interviews and getting prepared for it. But at the end of the day, it's certainly worth it once you have a job lined up and you know that once you're going out of college, you won't be broke anymore. So these are my couple of tips and tricks. I will be sending the slides later, so in case you want to review it after, about what helped me during my job search. So first of all, I think everyone probably has a resume, but it's really important when you apply to jobs, especially if you're just sending your resume somewhere, that it is actually well written. There's multiple tools that you can use. The career service at IIT for me has been more than enough. I've been there. I try going there at least once a year, and they did a great job at reviewing it. If you don't want to go in person, VMark has been great as well. I think it's still a service that you can get through IIT. You get like 10 times they like score your resume, which is actually pretty good to use, because it would happen that you're going to send your resume to different companies and they're just going to have an AI scan it. So VMark kind of is a test for that to see how good your resume does. Additional resources outside of IIT, you can always ask peers to review your resume. I've never personally asked any of my friends to do it, but I've definitely had people ask me, and I'm sure it helps people out, so definitely do that. And other tools if you don't like VMark, but for me, VMark has always been more than enough. Outside of resumes, one thing that's pretty important is networking, because that probably could be the easiest way for you to land a job. Networking can be great for referrals if you're trying to have referrals for a certain company. It can help you build connections. So even though if you talking to people doesn't always have to be for a particular interest, you can just talk to people because you want to socialize. You don't always have to do it for connections, for connections. You get to learn about different sectors and different fields, because once you talk to people who are in the industry, you realize that they work on stuff that you didn't even know people existed or people worked on, and you can think that, oh, that's cool, that's a sector I want to be in. And there are multiple ways that I've networked throughout my years at IIT. Well, already there's IIT events like today, where it's easier when it's all in person because you can get to talk to whoever's presenting after. But definitely going to IIT events where they bring people from industry is a great way of networking. Joining student orgs is a great way too, because you can always go back and talk to previous alumni who were part of a student org that you've interacted with when you're looking for jobs. And also social media, which is probably my least favorite way of networking, but there's always LinkedIn out there if you're trying to push hard and you are running out of ways to do it in person. Not my favorite kind of way of networking, but it's always there. So now let's pretend that you applied for your jobs and you got a an email saying to go through the interview process. Well, congrats. It's actually a pretty impressive step made. There's a couple of things that I thought were super helpful when it comes to interview preparation. And I think it all comes to quality over quantity. For example, I TA for CS 331. I want to see, I think 3 or 4 semesters. And it was the reason why I chose that class in specific is because I knew how important that class was for technical interviews. A lot of the technical interviews use concepts that you learn in that class. So for me, for example, I thought it was way more helpful to teach that class than to do 500 lead code questions. I've never been a huge into grinding lead code questions. I always thought it was better to understand the base and apply the base than just grinding questions. And then when it comes to applying for jobs, I definitely made the mistake before of just mass applying for jobs instead of making my job application like great for only a couple. So it's definitely best to apply for like only 15 jobs than like mass applying with 200 jobs, because you can always tailor your resume for specific roles. So I would highly recommend going for less, but with more details and more tailored for the specific roles you're applying for. Internship search. Why I did not talk much about internship. This is a graph of my internship search in 2021 for the summer of 2021. As you can see, I've decided to mass apply instead of tailor making my resume. I got a lot of no response and rejections, which is, I guess I was not surprised by it at the end, just kind of numbed about it. Even the rounds where I got interviews, most of them I didn't make it to a final round. And the final round, I only got 1 out of the 5 that I went to, but I got an offer and I didn't even end up taking the offer. So the reason why I have this slide here is not to scare anyone, but is to tell you guys that, hey, even if you don't have a summer internship or you're struggling through it, it's not the end of the world. Life will be fine and you can still move on. And there's still great ways of spending that summer. Which brings me to my next slide about internships. The difference about, I guess, getting one or not getting one. So if you got one, congrats. It's actually much harder than I thought. And I want to say it's even harder to land an internship than for a full-time offer. It might just be me, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. If you sign in, if you do end up having an internship, though, definitely make the most out of it. Learn as much as you can from it. Because you're definitely going to learn a lot that cannot be learned in class. Build connections with your peers, with everyone around you. Make sure that not make sure, but like kind of try making, like especially if you're trying to get a return offer at that specific company, like it's pretty important that making sure that your manager likes you and whoever's like your mentor thinks you're worth returning to the company after a year. And also, if you have the opportunity, definitely explore different projects to see what suits you better or not, what you're interested in. So yeah, that's kind of my tips if you end up having an internship. If you don't end up having one over the summer like I did, it's totally fine. There's definitely tons of things out there that you can do. I personally worked on projects. I worked a lot on ML related projects when during the summer of 2021. I also TA'd for Smash, which for me was super helpful because we use other tools like pandas and stuff like that, which I had not used at IIT. So it was really a good way to getting used to those tools. And also, I definitely enjoyed my summer way more because I had a little bit of free time. I got to travel, go visit the West Coast and the East Coast and do a lot of things that I would not have been able to do if I was booked with an internship. So either way, I think if you get it, congrats. But if you don't, you'll be fine. Don't worry too much about it. So compared to my internship search, this has been my job search for 2022. So that's why I say that I think it was much easier. I applied to 1 role. I got 2 first rounds, and 1 I got rejected, and the other 1 I took the offer, and here I am today. So I kind of shows you the fact that even if my internship search went poorly, it doesn't mean that you'll end up not having anything at the end. Like I'm here doing totally fine today, and this is kind of how my job search went. And I made sure that when I applied, the 1 job I applied to, I made sure that my resume was tailor-made for the job. And I'm pretty sure that's the only reason I got picked, because I made sure that I was hitting all the criteria of a job. I'm going to now move to resources. So things that I've used a lot at IIT, but I highly recommend checking out or using. Already career services, I know you hear about it a lot, but definitely do use it. Do yourself a favor and go take a one-on-one with VJ or whoever's there now at least once a year to review your resume, review your goals for after graduation, making sure you're on track to hit them. And also the career service is a great way to make connections with people in industry because they know a lot of alumni out there who are working in X or Y, Z companies that you might want to work at or in the field that you enjoy working in. So I heavily recommend going back at least once a year at least or once a semester. These are a couple of classes which I thought were super helpful for technical interviews, at least for CS technical interviews. Well, 331 because it's basically data structure. 430 and 480 because we touch a lot of graph traversal, which is not seen in 331. So this are kind of classes which for me were super helpful for technical interviews. And then I added Elevate here because I know Elevate is kind of revamping right now, but I use my Elevate award when, not sure exactly how it works now, but when I was there and I had my Elevate award, I used the award to take classes I was not taught at IIT. I used it to get legal premium so that I could learn graph traversal in a not because I was trying to learn how to do graph traversal, so I used legal premium for that. So it's multiple ways you can use that Elevate award that could be helpful. We also have a mentoring program which I would highly recommend joining. Well, not only joining but going to see someone out there and mentoring. Not to then again, I was part of it for a while, but I think they've been revamping it as well. And also your department could always be a good help, whether it be your chair or your advisor. They could always help you find job opportunities. I know tons of IIT professors out there who's helped students get jobs, and also is a great way to get involved in research if you want to do that as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to what I want to talk about IIT. And I am now open to any questions if you guys have any questions in the room. No?
All right, so I guess we can start with questions in the room. So anyone in the room has a question for Theo? Any at all? Right there.
There was a slide
Hi.
that
Hi, Chloe.
said to one role, but like
Do you want to come up here and ask a question because we don't have a mic system for that? Yeah.
hello. So my question
Hello.
is, when you're on the slide of your job search, you said you applied to one role, but you got two like first round like interviews, or like how does that work? I'm a little confused by that.
Yeah. So basically, one of the companies that I had applied for as an internship and didn't get past the last round just contacted me for a first round for full time, basically. So I didn't have to apply there, but the other one I applied for. Does that make sense?
Oh, so they referred
what?
you. Like you didn't have to apply to it, but they asked you.
Kind of. Well, yeah, they asked me if I wanted to go for a first round without me applying. Let's put it like that, because I had already applied the previous year for the internship.
All right, thank you.
Yep. You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions in the room? Oh, so someone else had a question here. All right. Is there any questions in the Zoom call? Just feel free to unmute and ask away.
We'll drop a chat.
Yeah, or drop a chat as well. No? All right.
Alrighty.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
Neil
Well,
has
thank
a
you guys
question.
for coming.
Neil from HK
Okay.
has a question.
Hi, Theo.
Oh,
How are you doing?
I good. How about you? I'm kind of
Good.
We miss you.
We miss
How
you.
was school? I miss you guys too. How was school?
It's going well.
That's nice. You guys are excited. Oh, you guys are almost done. You have like a year left. Damn.
What exactly?
I said you guys have like a year left. You guys are almost done.
Oh, yeah.
Both of you. Mhm. Yeah. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, and also I'm gonna send the slides to I guess anyone from ACM, so and you can do whatever you want with it. If you guys want to contact me outside often as well, definitely feel free to do so. Can either shoot me an email or text me through any social media. I'll get back to you eventually at some point. Yeah, so definitely feel free to contact me whenever. Well, ACM and HN, thanks for giving me the opportunity to come today. That's great. I look forward to being back at some point, hopefully in person next time.
Theo, do you have a slide with like your contact information on it?
I'll add it to this slide.
Okay, yeah.
I'll add it to the slide. Sounds good?
Yeah, we're also recording this, so we'll
Oh.
post the recording on our YouTube and then post it in our Discord.
Perfect. All righty. Well, I'll see you guys soon then. Thank you guys for coming. Bye.
All right.